Service investigates multiple viral videos showing minority leader appearing to hit a police officer during Monday's Save the Judiciary protest. The police say they intend to interrogate more witnesses.
As well, we've identified the police officers who were on duty at the scene. We have taken statements.
We'll hear tonight from the minority leader as he insists he was the victim of an alleged assault and names individuals he says could corroborate his account. So will the police invite these witnesses?
And hit me hard, and he aimed at my heart. Okay, he aimed at it. He just hit me like, young man, why do you want to kill me? Have I done anything to you?
Also tonight, amid allegations by opposition MPP pointing to a grand plot by President Mahama to seek a third term, the president's office says the Supreme Court will have the final say.
So we don't go to Christmas parties to interpret our constitution, isn't it? We surely will have to go to the court someday if that provision will have to be interpreted. But I have not had any conversation with Mr. President.
We have the very latest on this and hear the thoughts of legal luminaries on the matter. Also tonight, Police Electoral Commission blame game over Ablekuma North coalition continues as police insist delay in the process is due to the EC's failure to fix a date for the process. The commission says they are yet to receive security guarantees from the police. As
Director of Public Affairs said, if the EC is ready, we are always ready to provide the security. So I believe that they will take it up with the Inspector General of Police.
We went there, the police said that the IGP wasn't there. So we are waiting for them to say that they are.
In business tonight.
Price of petroleum product expected to reduce further in the coming weeks as city continues to stabilize and crude oil continues also to drop on the international market.
And in sports, we continue our UCL PAP series with special coverage of the Inter Milan versus Barcelona semi-final second leg at the Heritage Craft Brewery ANC Corner tonight. All that plus your views and comments here on Newsnight 05511119997. My name is Evan Simmons and details after this. You're so live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. I wanted to share your thoughts with us. We'll share it with the rest of the world. 05511119997. The Ghana Police Service has tonight obtained additional video evidence after it launched a full-scale probe into a viral video that appeared to show minority leader Afenyo-Markin hitting a police officer during yesterday's Save the Judiciary protest. Today, we've heard from the minority leader himself, who claims he was defending himself after being hit in the chest by the officer and has petitioned the IGP. We'll get more on his petition shortly, but following his public statement explaining his version of the story, Mr. Markin spoke to our sister station, Adom TV, this morning and offered this explanation.
What enter now? Then the guy from nowhere, what enter America? Because they had entered. Then I was using and say, and hit me hard. And he aimed at my heart. Okay, he aimed at it. He just hit me like, young man, why do you want to kill me? Have I done anything to you? I was like, it's unfortunate how some public officers sometimes, when you should be I am careful. Now also, quote unquote, I can't show one there. Sabi also by retaliate. But I am sorry, I am Bufroba. I'm praying that higher powers of the realm would give him light to realize what he did, so that at the right time he apologized, said that quickly, let me make a formal complaint, send a petition to the IGP. Then I realized that typical of the politics we do, rather when I was protesting his action, some videos were rather being circulated and creating a certain impression. But I would want to urge the gentleman. Look, Manana Sebi Waba policeman, he may have his partisan interests.
But why are you jumping into conclusion that the reaction of the said gentleman was
no, not reaction, his action.
His action was induced. Politically.
I'm saying that if
we don't do if.
Well, I'm saying
he's a professional police person.
Well, but I'm saying
the conduct of a police officer is contrary.
Yes, sure.
Then they don't come in with inducement.
Yes, sure. So what I'm trying to say in there, his conduct was unbecoming of a police officer.
That one.
However,
based on your account this morning.
Right. However, if he has his own partisan inclinations, he should put that aside. Because broad daylight, a call is made, an invitation is made to the leader of a demonstration. He is entering, and then you use your hand. I mean,
Well, his side of the story is now being corroborated by one of his own in the MPP National Communications Director, Richard Ahiagba.
You know, this thing is talking about Honorable Afenyo-Markin having attacked.
There's a video where he's seen pushing the police officer.
Yes, it was chaotic. It was chaotic. We commend the police. DCOP Duty, I commend him. He's done great work. We appreciate that. But it got to a certain point, you know, there's this tension when we want to let people in, people out, and all of that.
This was around the Jubilee House area?
No, this was around the Parliament.
Right.
Right. So it was a very tense space. Myself got caught into it, trying to create space. It was very tense. And then in that process, the leader was hit very badly, this way, right on his chest. And he actually was almost taken out of the march. I had to take him to the washroom and kind of just cool down.
Alexander
Afenyo-Markin. So it was, if you saw anything as though he's attacking anybody, it's a reflex, trying to defend himself. It wasn't anything that he intentionally...
So he was rather hit by a police officer?
He was hit by the police officer I was standing right by him. He was hit this way on the chest, because perhaps the police officer didn't know him, didn't identify him, and hit him on the face. So I had to tell him that this is the minority leader. And then he kind of cool off and then allow for him to enter. So my brother's propaganda won't wash. This is a massive demonstration. Their government, this government didn't expect it. We appreciate.
So what really happened, if you listen to Afenyo-Markin and the statement he issued last night, which details what he says happened to him, including the fact that he was hit in the chest and had to be put in a room for a while where he had to wash his face and was also palpitating. What really happened? My colleague Papa Niashale is in the studio with me because he was there covering the protest for us. What did you see?
So Evans, just to give context, when the protest started from the frontage of the Supreme Court, Afenyo-Markin was in the company of leadership of the MPP and then some of the allied parties who joined them, and they had formed sort of a straight line and led the protest from where they started to the Supreme Court, and that is exactly how they also left the Supreme Court. So you were expecting that Afenyo-Markin would be part of the first group of people who will get to any destination, but that wasn't the case when we got to Parliament. At Parliament, I was far behind the crowd, but when I got there, even Afenyo-Markin was not there. At the time that I was standing right in front of the barricade that separated the main crowd from the people who had access to the main gate of Parliament, Afenyo-Markin was not there. So it was a few minutes later that Afenyo-Markin came in the company of some people, and then they went to this barricade. Now, again, this entry for sort of dignitaries or the leadership of the protesters was to, if you're facing the Parliament, this will be to your left. And then journalists was to the right. So majority of the journalists had to go through the other side, away from where Afenyo-Markin was trying to get access into the frontage of Parliament. So that is where all of this happened. But at the time that I got there, Afenyo-Markin was not there, which he should have been the case. So when he got there, he now tried. It took some time. I'm standing there. It took some time before Afenyo-Markin got access into the place. Now, when he did finally we expected that just as happened at the Supreme Court.
So that point that you're just making corroborates his part of the this whole incident, where he says the other executives of the party had already taken the lead and had gained access to the inner perimeter before he arrived.
Yes, before he arrived. There were some people, members of the delegation that had already gotten inside. So when we finally got inside, just as happened with the Supreme Court, the Afenyo-Markin would definitely be the one to submit this petition. He usually offers a few. So when he got inside, journalists had just gone straight to the gate waiting for Afenyo-Markin to come in. But Afenyo-Markin was nowhere to be found. So immediately he had gotten access. He had gotten into Parliament, went through the gate and gone into Parliament. Nobody knew where he was. It took a few more minutes before eventually Afenyo-Markin came out, and this time I was in the company of the clerk and some other individuals from Parliament, representing Parliament, that came to receive the petition.
He says in a statement that after he was hit in the chest, he says his heart was targeted. He was taken to a washroom, and he had to compose himself. Then he returned to address the gathering and present a petition. And you say there was this time lapse, give or take 10 minutes?
It could be more, given the stress and the heat of walking around. But I remember clearly
he was
asking
for a while, and then he returned after a short while.
Yes, clearly remember asking a few people, where is Afenyo-Markin? Well, we were all waiting for him to do the presentation, and nobody knew where exactly he was. So it took a few more minutes until he came. That is when everything went out. But it didn't look like, or he didn't look or sound like that was the case. If it mentions washroom, we didn't see him go in, but we know that between the time he got entry into the frontage of the barricaded area and when he came, it took more than 5 to 10 minutes before he did that.
Well, today the police, because of the conflicting accounts that, of course, we've had one from the Afenyo-Markin himself, and also the video that we saw before we saw his statement where he appears to be hitting the police officer. The police is taking this very seriously and want to look at all the facts. My colleague, James Aveji, just returned for a police press conference where the police are telling us a bit more. Apparently, they're not just relying on this viral video. They've acquired additional videos.
Exactly. The police CID have indicated that their own lenses have captured the incidents. We know that sometimes we have police media team with a camera on the ground, as well as some of the police providing protection, wedding body cam. Although they've not been specific on which of the sources they are getting this from, the director of CID, DCOP leader Donko, indicated that their own lenses have captured this incident, and so they are actually screening these videos to see what exactly has happened. They've also taken statement from all the officers that have been deployed to the exact spot to get to the bottom of this actually.
Somebody asked about the Honorable Afenyo-Markin case. I believe that we also, or there are videos in social media about an altercation or confrontation that happened during the demonstration. We captured it on our lenses as well. So it's a matter of investigation. If it's an assault, if it's a tussle or a confrontation, whatever it is called, it has to be investigated. So we've commenced that investigation. We've written to the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament because he's a sitting member of Parliament. We've identified the police officers who were on duty at the scene. We have taken statements and will definitely update you in due course.
So the police is looking into this particular matter, and once we hear more on this, we'll bring that to you. Yes, James.
Yes, Evan. So, sometimes finding some of these perpetrators sometimes can be quite difficult, and that's why I put it to the DCOP, the director of CID, as to whether they have been able to identify the particular officer Honorable Afenyo-Markin described in that statement. And thankfully, she said they have been able to identify all of the officers who were deployed to that particular station, and their full statement have been taken, which indicates that the particular officer in question should have been identified by the police as well to help in the investigation. And so now she said they are waiting on the speaker, a directive from the speaker, to proceed on this matter.
Okay, James, thank you very much. Well, yesterday, a central allegation that we heard from the NPP minority leader as part of their petition to the president was the allegation that John Mahama is part of a grand plot to get a third term, and that this entire process that may lead to the removal of Chief Justice is part of the scheme that may eventually see the Supreme Court rendering an interpretation that will give John Mahama the opportunity to run a third term. Well, we've been speaking to the Deputy Director of Operations of the Office of the President, Musa Fagbande, who says if any proposal emerges for a third term, a bid for the President, the government will refer it to the Supreme Court for interpretation.
Third term as what? What is third term? What does that mean?
As in he wants to run again, and when this term expires in 2028.
Is it a third term or a second term?
Well, that will be a third term because he's run one already and lost, and now he's come. This is second term.
But that will be determined by where? By what? So we don't go to Christmas parties to interpret our constitution, isn't it? we surely will have to go to the court someday if that provision will have to be interpreted. But I have not had any conversation with Mr. President.
But actually, your answer you're giving me actually seems to suggest that there may be a plan to go to Supreme Court for interpretation.
No. I'm just telling you that. I mean, if my goat is missing, you certainly believe that I'll go to the police station. The fact that you can speculate that I'll go to the police station does not seize me not to go to the police station. And so I'm just saying that currently, Mr. President is the president of Ghana and the leader of our party. He has a mandate to deliver. He's on that mandate. We are 5 months or 4 months in power. The most important thing is to try and build a country and build an economy. We are focused on that conversation. There's nowhere this conversation of a third term, whether it's a third term or it's what, coming to anybody's discussion within the NDC or within government.
So this allegation appears to have gained some currency since yesterday. It was actually part of the petition that was handed to the president yesterday. Let's bring in Martin, who is a lawyer. Martin, is this even possible under the Constitution? Can anybody even dream that the Supreme Court would even entertain any application, if anybody dared even put it on paper for them to consider?
So I like the way you started. I like your phrase. Can anybody even dream? Yeah, I'm gonna wish for it too. Nobody dream of a third term like that, right? But on paper, it's possible for somebody to attempt to go to the Supreme Court, because when you are going to court, then it's not as if the court is under lock and key, and so you need the permission of the security to be able to enter. No. If the papers are filed well, if they are not that well filed, once there is a semblance of a Supreme Court rate, the officers at the filing counter have to accept, take the money required by statute and then file it. So it will go before the court. So physically, nobody can stop a citizen from going, but the chances are nil. It's not possible. It's not possible.
I mean, this is open and shut, is it not? I mean, some will put this out there, so will tell you that because this is the first time we've had a president who lost a first term and has returned after the expiration of the 2 terms of another political party's leader, then maybe there's an argument there to be considered. I mean, if you consider unique circumstances surrounding this current president, does it leave room for interpretation?
No, it doesn't at all. I like the other phrase you use as well. Open and shut. So this is easy. When you read Article 66, Clause 3, so let me get my constitution. It's very clear. 2 terms is 2 terms. There is no opportunity for ambiguity. Not at all. So it's not something that we can look at and say, oh, you want to do something about it. No. This is very clear that a person has, as president, 2 terms. A person can serve as president for only 2 terms. Of course, the other ones, let's say, if the person is vice president, like what President Mahama said, and he served the last 6 months of Atamil, then he got his own 4 years, and then this is his second term. That's it. That apart, you can't get 3, 4 terms, not under this constitution.
Martin, thank you very much. And that there is, I think, people on that particular subject of the allegation that was put out yesterday and was part of the petition submitted to John Dramani Mahama. Let me hear from you, 05511119997. And it's been nearly 5 years since parts of the Kaneshie Central Market were ravaged by fire. But today's visit to the market isn't because of another disaster. Since that incident, the market has not recorded any major fire outbreak. In the following report, as part of our fire cycle series, we'll hear from key players on how these measures are keeping the Kaneshie market safe. Here's my colleague, MF Aditi.
The Kaneshie market's fire in 2020 left behind scorched stalls, displaced traders, and millions of cedis in losses. But it also sparked a shift in how the market approached safety. In response to the devastation, authorities established a dedicated fire service personnel right within the market. They now carry out routine inspections and offer regular safety education to traders in the market. Mr. Robert Jerry Agbavem, Deputy Managing Director of the Carnation Market, outlines the strategies that have helped avert further disasters.
We run a 24-hour service as far as our maintenance team and then the security teams are concerned. And so we have security personnel on duty 24/7. And so they ensure that every now and then there's somebody manning the entire market. All the shops, we ensure that they are closed. Nothing is left unattended to. Market women are also been educated to ensure that they are the first point of call when it comes to securing their wares. And so they all have, most of them have fire extinguishers.
Madame Eva Mason, a trader and secretary to the Market Association, tells JoyNews that she and her colleagues now feel much safer.
We are very safe in Carnation Market. One, the Market Association is very strong and we always collaborate with the management. So everything is okay with us here. And secondly, too, we meet every Wednesday. So when we meet, everybody brings his or her challenges to the executives and then we solve it. We have the fire service personnel here 24/7.
And Edna Osei, one of the main victims of the fire 5 years ago, shares her story of recovery and renewed hope in a market that now stands more prepared than ever before, while encouraging her colleagues to ensure their goods.
For anything not to happen, we have meters. They've given us individual meters that we are using, that if anything happens, yours will just go off so that it will not affect a different shop. Those with extinguishers, they should get new ones to fill them. I've seen it myself. They come here, I see them. So I would like to urge everybody to do same because you don't know what will happen tomorrow. With management, I would say they are doing well because after the incident, they came to tell me to just get a camera. So I've installed cameras here that if anything happens, they can capture and know what happened.
Here, we educate the market women mainly on fire safety and how to use their electrical gadgets, and also advise them whenever they've closed their shops, they should make sure all their electrical appliances are turned off. We also go around to check whether some of them are using these gas cylinders, electrical cookers and other stuff. If right now there is a fire here, we have fire extinguishers. So we try to use it to fight the fire at its initial stage. If it escalates, then we call for help.
As markets across the country continue to face the challenge of fire outbreaks, the Carnation Central Market stands out not because it was spared by chance, but because it chose to change. For JoyNews, Emefa Akosia Adeti.
And you are live here on News Night. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. I want to take you back to the police headquarters where the police service is tonight pointing accusing fingers at the Electoral Commission. And they've been trading blame since after election 2024 on who really is at fault for the Ablekuma North impasse that has ensured that the people of Ablekuma North still do not have representation in Parliament 4 months, more than actually, after the elections. Now, the collation process has stalled for the past 3 months after party supporters stormed the Greater Accra Regional Coalition Centre to disrupt the exercise. The EC last week indicated that they are unable to continue with that particular process because the police, they have failed to give them enough assurance and security guarantees. The police have been responding to that today. My colleague James Aveji was there and is in the studio with me. The police, they've completely thrown the accusation at the Electoral Commission. They say they have no responsibility at all as far as this is concerned?
Exactly, Evans. The last time the coalition was supposed to happen and the chaos occurred, the EC actually didn't show up at all at the coalition center. Later, we picked information that they were supposed to meet the police. That meeting, the EC didn't show up at the meeting. The political parties went to meet the police. And so today, we tried to get why the police didn't, cannot provide security. The Director General of the CID, DCOP leader Donko, indicates that they have always been ready to provide security for the elections, and so the EC rather should be telling us why they are not fixing date to get the coalition process done.
The election coalition, as Public Affairs said, if the EC is ready, we are always ready to provide the security. So I believe that they will take it up with the Inspector General of Police, but the service is always ready to provide the needed security support for any exercise, whether it's the EC or any other institution.
So you checked with the Electoral Commission. Are they ready to set a date?
But the Electoral Commission tells us that they have taken steps to the extent of scheduling a meeting with the Inspector General of Police. At their last check, they were told that the IGP is not around, and so the police would inform them when he's around. It's been 2 weeks down now, and they are yet to get that invitation from the police to sit with the IGP in order to also get some clearance to set a date for this coalition to happen.
Yeah, we went and met the police about 2 weeks ago, but we were told that the IGP was in there, so they would update the IGP on the developments. So the commission is waiting for us to conclude that schedule a meeting with the police. Then we'll go and meet the police and see what happens.
But why is it taking so long? Since you got in touch with the police, it's been...
That one I cannot answer, because I said that we went there, the police said that the IGP wasn't there. So we are waiting for them to say that the IGP is back, so let me let's meet whatever discussion that we will have.
Once you meet with the IGP and the two parties have a way forward, we should expect a date to be set for that to be done.
Well, once the IGP gives an assurance that they can protect the system, we'll be able to go. Yeah.
But you have no idea when you will get that feedback from the police.
That's one we're going to the IGP.
So that there is the Electoral Commission. They also say it is the police who must give them the go-ahead to proceed.
Exactly. The CID director says the police, the EC, should take up the matter with the IGP. Then the police is telling us they've taken the matter actually up with the IGP, scheduled a meeting, but they are yet to get the confirmation of that meeting to sit down with the IGP.
I mean, let's stay with this police press conference a while longer. I mean, we know that recently another major development around crime is this alleged kidnapping of some Ghanaians to Nigeria.
To Nigeria.
They've been providing an update on this.
Exactly. From the last update we received, the police tell us that the two women have been rescued. As we speak, they are still in Nigeria. They have not been brought back to Ghana. But the new twist to this is the CID is revealing that the two women are women from separate locations in Ghana who, through romance scam, found their way to Nigeria to go and meet these kidnappers who presented themselves through social media, Facebook, as presenting marriage proposal to these women, for which reason they traveled all the way to Nigeria to go and meet them and falling into this situation. They've been providing that update as well as caution to the general public to beware of some of these things, especially on social media.
Peter Okoye, Christian Emeka, and Basil Okonkwo are all Nigerians. They were into romance scam both in Ghana and in Nigeria. They operate through their Facebook and other social media handles. These suspects met the two victims, Anastasia Bedu Atta and Evelyn Sewa Konedu, through their Facebook accounts. Suspects posed as white men who wanted to marry the victims. The two unsuspecting victims became convinced, accepted the marriage proposal. The suspects then lured them to Nigeria, and the victims traveled separately but ended up at the same location on the same day on 22nd of April 2025. On reaching the location in Nigeria at Port Harcourt, Onitsha, Peter Okoye and his 2 accomplices kidnapped them. The 3 suspects stripped the 2 victims naked, tied them up, assaulted them with cutlasses, threatened to kill them with a knife, wrapped them in an orange bedsheet with their heads covered with black polythene, and threatened to hang them. While we celebrate our success stories, it is also a good time to call on all of us to exercise extreme caution when we are online so as not to fall victim to fraudsters who take undue advantage of unsuspecting persons. Do not believe everything you see, hear, or read online. As always, be on the lookout for scammers and fraudsters who seek every opportunity to prey on your innocence, ignorance, or failure to do due diligence. And finally, we wish to advise that you report any suspicious activity to the police for appropriate action.
And you can find more on myjoyonline.com and across our many social media platforms. And George Weafe is here with business. And George, before you even tell us about business, tonight you have a big game.
Arsenal.
Yeah. Don't you have Arsenal?
Yeah.
You're not sure.
No, I wasn't sure about it being today. Sorry,
but you have a big game.
I know we have a big
week.
game against the PSG. I know about the Barcelona and Inter game coming up tonight, but I'm not sure about the time.
But you have a big game. You have a big game this week.
Yeah, we have a big game. It's a do or die affair. You know what happened to us in the Premier League, and even our last game, what happened to us, and so we have to really end the season with a trophy. And it has to be the Champions League, of course.
I
so
see.
We're looking forward to it. But what's in the first leg between Inter, whatever you may choose to call them, and Barcelona, it shows that really we are up for a huge hedge-o, even if we should qualify to the finals.
Yeah.
Looking at the game that Barcelona and Inter Milan played, it will be a real tough one for us now.
It will be. What do you have in the headline?
Well, even coming at price of petroleum products expected to reduce further in the coming weeks as city continues to stabilize and crude prices slows on the international market. And banking and financial lecturer Dr. Benjamin Amwa describes strong gold reserve position of Bank of Ghana as good for cities' sustained stability. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. Cintas Tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. You're welcome back to business on Newsnight. Now, the price of petroleum products are expected to reduce further in the coming weeks. Now, this is due to the continuous decline in the price of crude oil on the international market and the city's stability against the US dollar. There is more in this report.
There are 3 main indicators that often influences the price of petroleum products at the pumps in Ghana. One can start from the price of crude oil on the international market, finished petroleum products, and the cedi's performance against the US dollar when it comes to how much a cedi a company will need to purchase the same volume of finished petroleum product. Now, all these variables have been going down on the international market, a move that will leave the oil marketing companies with no option than to pass on that reduction to consumers. Several extrapolations and projections have all shown that prices at the pumps should be going down in the next pricing window. However, one is not sure for now whether all the oil marketing companies will pass on these reductions to consumers and what will be the margin of reduction. There are fresh indications that crude oil, which currently is selling around $61, is expected to go down further in the coming days.
And that is a business desk report. Meanwhile, more oil marketing firms are reducing their prices at the pumps in line with adjustment that should have happened from the beginning of this month. Market leader Gold yesterday went down, selling a litre of petrol at 13 Ghana cedis, 69 pesos. Diesel has also gone down, selling at 14 Ghana cedis, 41 pesos. Another oil marketing firm, that is Petrosol, selling a litre of petrol at 13 Ghana cedis, 68 pesos, while diesel is going for 14 Ghana cedis. Now, this is the 6th time since February this year the prices have gone down at the pumps. However, for the transport operators, they've argued that there's still not enough to warrant a reduction in fares to consumers. To other stories, Bank of Ghana's strong gold reserve position is good for the city's sustained stability against the US dollar. Now, that's the view of banking and financial lecturer, that is Dr. Benjamin Amwa. Now, the central bank in a public notice has announced that its total gold reserves holding has hit 31.37 tons ending April of this year. Dr. Amwa maintains that these developments are good for market sentiments, which could go a long way to aid the local currency's good run in the long term.
We should not also forget the fact that once we keep on purchasing the gold, it provides some assurance and confidence to investors that our reserves is not based on the dollar, which is having challenge on the international market, but it's rather based on the safe haven currency called gold. So that, insulate the cedi from what we are experiencing. If we had compared a situation where we have kept our currencies in the dollars. So what is happening is that now the dollar is having some challenge, and the go-to place now for investors is to hedge in the gold. So if you have a central bank that is posting increased gold tonnage, the chances are that investors will prefer to keep their funds in such a currency for such a central bank than to look elsewhere. So in the midst of all the factors, one can at the moment assign the fact that the gold purchase that Bank of Ghana is undertaking is also contributing to the strength that we are seeing in the Ghana cedi.
And that is banking and finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amwa. A sustainable food system and supply chain lecturer, Professor Francis Achu, has emphasized the need for sustainable farming within the framework of innovative agricultural practices. According to him, this model is no longer an option, but essential for most farmers to survive. He made these remarks at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting held under the theme, "The future of food is critical place for sustainable practices."
Most of us are going through various health challenges, not because that we are not living good, but because of the kinds of food that we eat. Take galamsey. You may think galamsey is somewhere else. Most foods that we eat are coming from those enclaves. With all these things, ladies and gentlemen, whether we like it or not, look, conventional farming is not something we should joke with it. So, sustainable farming within the scope of what innovative farming practices is not an option. It is the way for us to be able to survive.
A sustainable food systems and supply chain lecturer, Professor Francis Achu. Let's turn our attention to the stock market. And the current low treasury bills rate is pushing more investors to the Ghana Stock Exchange. Now, those who have invested on the Ghana Stock Exchange are making a year-to-date return of more than 22%, far higher than what you are getting if you had invested in the treasury bills on the market now. And for investors of MTN Ghana, well, today it went up by 2 pesos to close at 3 Ghana cedis 21 pesos. That actually shows some significant jump in the value of the share since the beginning of this year, when it opened trading somewhere around 2 Ghana cedis 50 pesos, and is now worth 3 Ghana cedis 21 pesos. Some significant increase in the value of the share on the Ghana Stock Exchange. And that's all for business on Newsnight. And even you're talking about the cedi, and a lot of things are happening with the local currency, but there's a lot of things that are working together and not just.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing short of a miracle what is happening in terms of the cedi. It was at 16 at some point this year.
Yeah.
From what you're now telling us, it's dropped all the way to the 13s now.
If you look at the bank transactional rates, and if you look at the forex bureaus, looking at almost 15 Ghana cedis. Now, a lot of things are working together in the Bible. There's for the good of those who believe in the Lord and for the cedi. One, we could talk about the fact that the dollar itself is not doing well on the international market. Mm-hmm. But also, you shouldn't forget about the economic numbers. If you follow the IMF program, when they came in, the fact that they said that even the Bank of Ghana has built a very strong reserve position, that even before the end of the IMF program, that is next year, May 2000, in 2026. They built a strong reserve position. The news about us having a very strong gold reserve position as well. All these things send signals to the market that the Bank of Ghana is in a strong position to support the currency when it matters. Some also said that the Bank of Ghana has also been very, very active on the market in terms of dollar supply. And also, if you look at the economic indicators, it looks like things are going a little bit well. So all these things are kind of working. It's not just one thing that you could just pick and see that that's the main reason, but all these variables are working for the current good run of the Ghana cedi.
John, thank you very much. And so, as far as business is concerned, one of the challenges that the economy has faced over the period is unemployment. We're now getting a very firm target for the government in terms of how significantly they want to reduce unemployment in this country using the 24-hour economy as the catalyst. Well, the president is now setting himself that firm target. He wants to reduce unemployment to 5% by 2034.
2034?
Yes, by 2034.
When his term ends, when?
Well, of course, his term will end in 2020.
No, I'm just asking. Okay.
Yes, but this is...
It's a government. Okay, sorry. So it's not a person.
Yes, so that, for him, is what the ultimate objective is in terms of the implementation of the 24-hour economy, and that the outcome is a reduction in the percentage of unemployment to 5% by 2034 if the 24-hour economy is implemented effectively, he says. So for this to happen, it must be implemented. It must be implemented effectively. He's been speaking at the inauguration of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Accelerated Export Development, which he chairs. The president revealed plans to modernize Ghana's ports, operationalize the Buankra inland port, and revamp the Volta Lake Transport Company.
Ghana has the potential to substantially increase our exports of garments across Africa and to the world. Through targeted incentives and strategic partnerships, we will scale up our local production and participation in this value chain. Our 24-hour economy strategy will complement this ambition by developing focused value chains in cassava, tomato, palm oil, pharmaceuticals, textiles and garments, and industrial machinery. With effective implementation, we are confident that by 2034, Ghana can reduce the national unemployment rate from 14.7% as it currently stands to under 5%. No export strategy can succeed without robust logistics and trade infrastructure. Ghana's exporters face some of the highest logistics costs in West Africa, and our export clearance times exceeds the regional averages. We will therefore modernize our ports, revamp the Volta Lake Transport Company, develop the Mpakadam port, and operationalize the Buankra inland port, and expand the cold chain infrastructure to support our fisheries and horticultural sectors. These interventions are critical to improving transportation and reducing spoilage, particularly for producers located in the hinterland.
Well, delivering that 5% unemployment rate by 2034 all depends, according to President, on the 24-hour economy and how effectively they manage to implement it. Listen to the presidential advisor for the 24-hour economy and accelerated export development, Guzitano.
The President's 24-hour economy and accelerated export development program is Ghana's strategy for structural transformation to be rolled out in phases with prudent macroeconomic management and radically improved governance. The program is built around three fundamental pillars: production transformation, market systems efficiency, and human capital development. Through production transformation, we can move Ghana away from its dependence on raw commodity exports and towards exports of value-added goods. Through supply chain and market efficiency, we will reduce logistic costs to our producers, strengthen trade facilitation, and radically reduce post-harvest losses. And through labor power development, we will build a digitally fluent, technically skilled, culturally formidable, and globally competitive workforce. Distinguished guests, we will only claw our way out of the economic crisis we inherited by helping our producers to expand and diversify production and export, especially within our sub-region and across the opportunity given by AFTA.
And that there is Guzitano. So live your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. Now the Communications Minister Sam Nata George has announced plans to protect Ghana's fiber optic infrastructure by incorporating it into national infrastructure policies. Now it comes after revelations by the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications and the Electronic Money Issuers Chamber that 10,233 fiber optic cable cuts happen in every year between January and November, costing $17.4 million in repairs. The minister was addressing the 24th Ghana Telecoms Chamber Forum on the theme Leveraging Fiber for Accelerated Development in Accra.
Fiber optic infrastructure is the silent engine powering Ghana's digital economy. Yet, without standardized specifications, we risk fragmentation, continued destruction of this critical information infrastructure, inefficiency, and high maintenance cost. This initiative is crucial because it reflects the coordinated forward-looking planning required to realize Ghana's full digital potential.
Well, we're also hearing tonight from the Acting Director General of the National Communications Authority, Engineer Edmund Yerin Chief Fianco, who is proposing a new bill to criminalize fiber cuts.
An amendment to Section 77 of Act 775 to recommend administrative fines, for people who recklessly damage. Okay, if you damage a fiber cable or any communication infrastructure, our recommendation is that you be fined 3 times the cost of repair. This is intended to make people extra careful when they are, working around areas where we have these fiber cables and other communication infrastructure laid. In the event you don't pay the fine, we recommend that you be prosecuted, criminal prosecution, and upon conviction, you being liable to a fine of a penalty of not less than 10,000 penalty units, or 5 years imprisonment, or both. We think that until people get punished for these things, nobody will be deterred. And every time a cable is cut, it has an impact on service quality.
Well, let me bring in Ken Ashigbe. Dr. Ken Ashigbe is the president of the Ghana Telecoms Chamber. Joins us on the line right now. Mr. Ashigbe, I'm grateful that you could join me. This is a big problem. I mean, considering that you are spending, $17 million just between January and November to repair fiber cuts. A proposal by the NCA. Is it one that you support?
Oh, completely. This is something that we have been clamoring for, and the Minister for Communication, even when he was in opposition, is one of the things that he was pushing, that we should get a law to be able to protect. And so for the NCA to have added it to their proposals for a revision of the laws is really very welcome. Because if you consider the impact of this fiber cut on customers, the poor quality of service you get, the poor experience you get, data challenges, voice challenges, critical equipment that gets to suffer because of all of this. It is important that we deal with it. You have the examples of the UK where they passed the Telecommunications Security Act in 2021. So we need to definitely ensure that we can coordinate and put all our laws that protect telecommunication infrastructure in one piece of legislation. And the most important thing, ensure that the punitive consequences for damaging this critical information infrastructure, and then making sure that you and I are able to enjoy better quality of telecommunication service.
Dr. Ashigbe, thank you very much. Still live, your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. This one, Sami in Kumasi, says the claims by the MPP that President Mahama wants to run for a 3rd term, hence the decision to remove the CJ from office, is completely infantile. Even if President Mahama is harboring the ideas to go for a 3rd term, does he need to sack the CJ before realizing that idea? Also, Musa Abatar in Asawase says from Afenyo-Markin's own account, it's clear he's been economical with the truth he says. Nane Kwama Boateng in Ablekuma Central, says, I'm highly disappointed in His Lordship, Justice Bafomani, who stands to benefit from the removal of the Chief Justice, to be part of the panel reoccurring the position of the former Attorney General. Also, Melvin Ingho says, did I hear Richard Ahiagba say the police didn't know Afenyo-Markin? Who in this country doesn't know or can recognize Afenyo-Markin when they see him in public? A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. Well, I have the singular pleasure of announcing that we're going to be taking you live right now to the Heritage Brewery, ANC Mall corner. That's at East Legon, because we have commentary for you there of that game between Inter Milan and Barcelona. That match last week was scintillating. Lamine Yamal did his magic. Will he do it again today? Let's join our team right now.